What is up, guys? Welcome back to CageChat MMA. We're here for the UFC Vegas 15 preview. Of course, the card has taken a bit of a toll, hasn't it? Obviously, this was supposed to be Derrick Lewis versus Curtis Blaydes, but it's ended up to be Anthony Smith versus Devin Clark, of course, in a 5-round main event now. Obviously, those two were meant to be the co-main event of the 3 rounds that got pushed up. So how's that going to, is it going to improve one of them? How is it going to change their plans for tonight? But obviously, let's have a look at the main event that we lost tonight. Obviously, Derrick Lewis versus Curtis Blaydes was the promoted bout for tonight. Obviously, these two at the helm of the heavyweight division. Obviously, the division is in a bit of a stacked up position at the moment. Obviously, we've got Stephen Miocic at the top, and we don't know when he's going to return to defend his title. Presumably, would imagine against Francis Ngannou, although you can very much imagine John Jones being his next opponent to defend that heavyweight title. But it's a tough one for heavyweight. I feel like there's a bit of a backlog. Obviously, you've got the likes of Rosenstruck, who's on a win now against Junior Dos Santos. You've got Overeem pushing through a title charge. And obviously, you've got Curtis Blaydes and Derrick Lewis. Obviously, Derrick Lewis has already fought for a title against DC. Now, with Stipe at the helm, maybe he has a better shot. But it does feel like there's a big queue coming up for the heavyweight division, at least. And I don't know whether we need an interim belt. I don't know. But Steve Miocic does need to return soon, maybe in February, March at the earliest. So the fight that we had tonight is going to be rescheduled for January 2021, I believe. Area Juani said either late December, although we haven't got long before that arrives, and those cards are pretty stacked already. So January at least, maybe put it on the Conor McGregor card. I don't know, what a Max Holloway card, and you can still do good numbers. Whether it is a main event on its own, it deserves to be a main event on its own, but it could be on that January 23rd card pretty easily as a 3-round co-main event, perhaps. Yes, as we mentioned, Derrick Lewis versus Curtis Blaydes. Obviously, Derrick Lewis is coming off the back of the win, isn't he? Sorry, let me check here. Shoot, I haven't got these stats up. Obviously, Derrick Lewis, Curtis Blaydes obviously beat Alexander Volkov in a 5-round fight last time, while Derrick Lewis, of course, is coming off the win as well. We just double check where it's from. I've actually forgotten. Pardon me. It's just lost my memory. But obviously, it's Alexei Oleinik, of course. That he's on a 3-fight win streak now. Oleinik, Ilia Latifi, and Blagoy Ivanov, of course. So he's on a 2-fight win streak in 2020, and he's had a good year. He's supposed to be running it out tonight. Obviously, he went on a back-to-back loss streak there with Daniel Cormier and Junior Dos Santos, where he had those back issues, those injuries, and he took that fight against Daniel Cormier on very short notice. But I'm still excited for this fight, to be honest. I think, and the fact that it's going to happen in January, February, it helps the UFC more than anything. It helps them plan out their heavyweight strategy a little bit more, because it is a little bit stagnant, not stale. There's some good talent in there, but it's definitely one that needs to be picked up a notch or two. And the fact that this fight has been pushed back over till January certainly helps it no end. It allows the UFC in 2021 to strategize who's next for Stephen Miocic. If it's John Jones or Francis Ngannou, it should be Francis Ngannou. He's waited long enough. But, John Jones is a superstar, and should he want to fight heavyweight, he goes straight in at the top. For me personally, at least, he's done enough to warrant a title shot immediately at heavyweight, despite not having fought in the division. Obviously, Curtis Blaydes currently is on a 4-fight win streak, so when that gets rescheduled, there's a little bit of talk about Jairzinho Rosenstruck coming in and fighting Derrick Lewis. You're looking at Francis Ngannou, who's only fought 20 seconds this year, and you're thinking, can he step on the short notice? But I think he's not in America at the moment, at least. He's not been training, so it would be unfair to put him up against Derrick Lewis, who of course beat Francis Ngannou in that 5-round decision about not so long ago. One of the least favourable fights, you could say, in UFC history. But you know what? I wouldn't be mad if you made Francis Ngannou Derrick Lewis 2 in the future. I think we do see it happen, and I think we see a different outcome. I think we see a more explosive fight between the two. Obviously, both of those are aware of each other's power. But to get onto the main event, of course, now Anthony Smith, he's not had a good 2020, has he? Let's be honest. 2 losses against Glover Teixeira, Alexander Rakic. Obviously, at the start of the year, he had his home broken into, unfortunately, which would have put a lot of stress on him. But he's not had a good year, and a loss tonight might see him get cut. Obviously, he's a big star, but it'll be 4 losses in his 5, albeit John Jones, Glover Teixeira, and Alexander Rakic aren't bad losses at all. But you're looking there, you're seeing Corey Anderson move over to Bellator. You're thinking Anthony Smith the record of what 33-16. If he loses tonight, goes to 33-17. He's in big trouble. But again, I think the move up from co-main event to main event helps Anthony Smith. Of course, all of those fights we mentioned there have been, main events. He's been 5 rounds with John Jones. He's been 4 rounds with Glover Teixeira, and he's been, I think it was a 3-round main event with Alexander Rakic, if I remember correctly at least. So, the miles in the clock that he has will outweigh him perfectly for this one. He'll be able to go the 25 minutes, whereas Devin Clark, he's not main evented before. How is he feeling now? Obviously, he wasn't expecting it. So the pressure would only have been over 24 hours. He's probably thinking, I'm fighting tomorrow anyway. So maybe the pressure's not got to him. But the fact, if it does get into round 4 and 5, Anthony Smith knows he's been there before and knows what he has to do to grind out a result. But I do question his chin and his health at the moment. Obviously, he's been out a little while. It's been 3 months since he last fought, almost at a day now. So he's had some time. Well, actually, I say the loss the beating he took to Glover Teixeira, he came back 3 months after that, lost to Rakic. Maybe 3 months out isn't what we need. I'd prefer him to see a year out, perhaps. Rather look at the tail of the tape, of course. As you see there, Smith versus Clark, obviously the experience is very much in Anthony Smith's favour, 33-16. 6'4", has got a huge height advantage over the 6' Devin Clark, and obviously, actually the reach isn't too bad. This the leg reach, which you could say is advantageous more for Anthony Smith here. So you may be looking at him to maybe use a bit more of the kickboxing bout, sorry. But yeah, he beat Alexander Gustafsson obviously before his run up to the title challenge against John Jones. He beat Ozdemir, Shogun, and obviously Rashad Evans. Fantastic wins all on his record. It's a tough one. If he loses tonight, I do think we see the end of Anthony Smith, unfortunately. But yes, that's no disrespect to Devin Clark, who obviously beat Alonzo Menifield this year by unanimous decision. Dequar Townsend obviously lost to Ryan Spann, who's in the light heavyweight division. And for him tonight, a win would push him, very high up the rankings that we see here. Obviously, Anthony Smith is still in 7th, so a win tonight for Devin Clark would put him straight up there with the likes of Nikita Krylov, Johnny Walker, Misha Serkinov, Volkanov, Zdemir. Obviously, you got Yuri versus Dominic Reyes. I think you got Rakic versus Santos in March 2021, I believe. And obviously, Glover Teixeira and Jan Blachowicz and Israel Adesanya are in a triangle for that title shot now, with Jan Blachowicz at the helm of the division. So, yeah, for Anthony Smith, I would go as far to say his career's on the line tonight, especially in the UFC at least. I don't see how a win for him, anything but a win for him, should I say, keeps him in the UFC, which is a shame when you see that fight against John Jones. He took that knee while it was down. He could have got the DQ win, become the champion on the night, and maybe it had a different story, but his heart and his moral and his integrity kept him competing fairly. And obviously took the loss that night, and since then he's been on a bit of a downward spiral. But I would like to see him take a year out. He's only 32 years of age, so he's still got a lot of his career left in him. So it's no by means time to retire. That beating he took to Glover Teixeira is something that is going to stay fond in the memory for a little while. Especially, you look at the Justin Gaethje Tony Thurgood fight. That one's equally as brutal, albeit it was maybe less one-sided. I think Anthony Smith had a good couple rounds, and then he gassed out, and Glover took over from there. Now, unfortunately, the card isn't great outside of that one, so it's a tough one. Obviously, this card has been tampered with a little bit, and it has taken a heavy hit on it. Obviously, it was supposed to have. It's a tough one all round, really. We look at Bill Algeo next against Spike Carlyle. Of course, this one has a bit of bittersweet taste, doesn't it? Bill Algeo was the guy that Brendan Loughnane beat on the Contender Series quite convincingly. Didn't get a contract on the night, and quite ironically, Bill Algeo fighting for the second time while Brendan Loughnane's on the shelf. No thought of his own, while PFL are trying to sort out their 2021. Obviously, them not being able to fulfill the potential of the 2020 season. Brendan Loughnane's not been able to fight. So Bill Algeo is coming in here after beating Tim Doolin and losing to Ricardo Lamos. Tim Doolin was in CFFC, of course. He came back to the UFC against Ricardo Lamos, lost by decision. And now he's coming up against Spike Carlyle, who put out a very good showing against Billy Quarantillo, or Quarantillo at least, back in May of this year. That was a long time ago now. Jesus. There's so many events. It feels like it only happened a couple of months ago, like 2 or 3 months ago at least. But, boy, he put on a performance in. He kept coming out. But he took a heavy loss that night, I think. At least I think it was unanimous to Billy Quarantillo. So this one, it's not a fantastic belt by the imagination, but it could be potential for a fight of the night bonus if these two go for 3 rounds. But boy, it is a weak card on paper, which in 2020 can be excused, but also these so-called weaker cards definitely pull out a little bit more from the imagination, a little bit. Someone could turn themselves into a viral star tonight, like Jack Quinn Buckley did, a month ago now, I think it was. So yes, I think BLJ might get his first win in the UFC. In which case, if you're Brendan Loughnane, your tweet's going to be going off the handle tonight with tags going, "This is the guy you beat in the UFC, just got his first win. You should have been hit. Should have been the one doing this." But nonetheless, it is what it is in the words of Max Holloway. And unfortunately, career paths go a different route. And I'm sure Brendan Loughnane could have a better 2021. I'd at least hope so, at least. And maybe we see him fight before that on a different organization, of course, after seeing Kayla Harrison fight for Invicta and looking like she's going to get one more outside of PFL before the return of their season in April. I think it is April, May time. Now, the last fight we're going to be looking tonight is obviously Rachel Ostovich versus Gina Mazzani. Of course, Mazzani coming down, I believe, at least for her flyweight debut. Her UFC record has still got it down as 135 in terms of the weight class. So I'm assuming it's her flyweight debut, or at least a long bridge between the flyweight fights at least. But she's not on a good record. I'm looking here, lost to Julia Avila. She's only beaten Valerie Barney, of course, at I think, well, that was back in 2020, back in January before all this kicked off. And then before that, Lena Landsberg and Macy Chiasson. She's got losses over. Sarah McMahon, she's got a loss over as well. Julianne Pena, that was an exhibition bout on The Ultimate Fighter. So yes, you're looking at here and thinking maybe this one's going to edge towards Rachel Ostovich tonight, of course, who's been on a bit of a, well, she got banned by USADA for 8 months, I believe, at least. But obviously, she lost her Paige Lanzan in that armbar in round 2 back 19th of January. Was that on the, I was going to say on the Conor McGregor card, but it's not. It was the one before that, at least. Who main evented that? Oh, Cejudo Dillashaw, of course. The first one on ESPN. On ESPN Plus as well. The very first one. But yeah, Paige Lanzan did get the armbar in. That was a final victory, I believe, in the UFC. And then obviously she lost to Amanda Ribas, has now moved on to bare knuckle kickboxing. Bare knuckle fighting, sorry, not bare knuckle kickboxing. Although that would be a class event, I think. But yes, Rachel Ostovich, again, not on the greatest of winning sprees. Of course, she's on a 2-fight loss streak, having lost to Montana De La Rosa before that Paige Lanzan fight. She won against Karin Jadoryan. I think I've just butchered that name, but on the Ultimate Fighter, of course, she won that bout. It's a tough one to look at. I think she was on the main card up until everything changed yesterday. We'll have to quick look at the tailor tape, of course. 6-4 against 4-5. You'd imagine again, someone loses this one, they're getting cut from the organization. You'd imagine that the UFC again now 30 contracts through Dana White's Contender Series, and have been pretty ruthless with who they're cutting. Josiah Formiga got cut not so long ago. Ray Borg's been cut this year. A lot of huge names and names that are popular as well have been cut for much less, with all due respect. But yes, looking at the tailor tape, 5-6 versus 5-3 in that flyweight division, of course, Gina Mazzani's reach is superior in terms of that's a 6.5-inch reach advantage, and it's nearly identical on the feet, at least. The Rachel Ostovich, you'd be hoping that he's looking to keep it on the feet, maybe getting some clinch work. Actually, yeah, I'd say she's more probably looking to keep it on the ground, actually. But yeah, it's going to be a good fight. Maybe not a barn burner, but it's certainly going to be one to watch out for, and it's a good one for that flyweight division. You saw UFC 255. Obviously, Valentina Shevchenko defended her title last weekend. Also on the card, you got Miguel Baeza, you got Takashi Sato in the co-main event. Now again, a good fight, 9-0 versus 16-3. Miguel Baeza, of course, undefeated, beat Matt Brown via that left hook back in May, of course. That feels so long ago, but it's not. He's got 2 wins in the UFC after winning in the Contender Series. Another one of the alumni. Takashi Sato beat Jason Witt again back in June after a loss to Bilal Muhammad. So that could be again a potential fight tonight for the winner of those two. Obviously, in that welterweight division, which is stacked with talent at the moment. You got Josh Parisian versus Parker Porter in that heavyweight division. Ashley Evans Smith versus Norma Dumont is going to be interesting. Norma Dumont coming down from featherweight down to bantamweight now, at least, and she's 4-1. So it's going to be interesting to see how she fares in that division. She lost to Megan Anderson on her last fight out, and her first loss too, of course, in the UFC and on a professional record. Ashley Evans Smith, of course, again coming off the back of the loss 3-4 now. When you get into that 4 losses out of 5 territory, you're getting into that. You're going to get cut territory, unfortunately. But she you could say has a favourable opponent in Norma Dumont, who's just made her first cut down to the bantamweight division. But you look at Andrea Lee, you look at Sarah Morris, Ketlin Vieira losses on her record, Veronica Macedo, Marion Renal wins, and the Beck Rollins win, of course. It's an okay record, but again, it's hard to look at this fight card and get overly excited. But you got Tyson and Jones on tonight. Actually, let me know in the comments down below, or if you're watching this on Facebook, put in the live chat. What your predictions for Tyson versus Jones, and are you going to be watching that over this pay? Maybe are you going to be watching both? Are you predicting Anthony Smith wins? Devin Clark. I do think Anthony Smith gets it just because the experience going 5 rounds. I think he'll be able to deal with the pressure a little bit more. But again, maybe there's questions about his chin going into this one. Who knows? So yes, if you're watching on YouTube as well, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well. We're on the road to 100 subs. If you're on the Facebook channel, make sure to hit follow on that. Of course, we're on the road to 2K followers on that as well. So yeah, not the greatest card. Obviously, we're off the back of the UFC 255, which was a card with 2 titles on it. And obviously this one got very much tampered. We'll have a quick look at the heavyweight rankings we did mention previously. The state of the heavyweight division, and I do think this postponement of the fight due to a positive COVID test from Coach Blaydes maybe helps the division. If you look in there, you're probably putting Stipe and Ngannou 2 in March, maybe April. You can do Coach Blaydes, Derrick Lewis there, and then obviously I'd like to see Rosenstruck Overeem 2, perhaps. I think Overeem's got a fight coming up at least. He's on that one more title run. And maybe he can get there. He's looked very impressive in his last couple of bouts. Obviously, Blaydes beat Volkov in a 5-round decision, so it's tough to predict the heavyweight division. And I do think if you're going to add a new division, I think you do add one at 240. You make Stipe maybe the cruiserweight champion at 240, and then you open up a heavyweight division at 265. And at the likes of Ngannou, Blaydes, Lewis, those that come in at the heavier side of the heavyweight spectrum compete for a belt as well. And then you're not stacking up one division with two weight classes in it at least. I think if you want one at 170, there's room in the UFC for ones that are maybe more important and more necessary at the moment. 170 you got 165, sorry, you got 170 and 165 either side of it. And we still have boxing as well. So many weight classes, so many champions that it's hard to keep up with everyone. And I think the UFC organize it, or at least the MMA way of building a champion. You've got 8 divisions in the men's, and you've got 4 or 5 in the women's now, or 6 either. You've got atomweight and lightweight either side of bantamweight, flyweight, strawweight, and of course featherweight. So yeah, I'd rather a cruiserweight division at the moment if you're going to add any, but of course tonight we're looking at light heavyweight, and I think that's a good place to wrap it up there. Again, apologies for the card not being too great, but we will be keeping up with it, of course. See maybe Jake Paul in the UFC in the near future. Well, by the way, he's calling out everyone at SBG, wants to go through Dylan Dennis and the rest of the SBG Ireland team on his way to Conor McGregor. We'll see how that goes. But yes, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Actually, make sure to check out the interview that I did with Levi Steedman that came out on yesterday. In fact, it came out just yesterday. There'll be a link in the little I button up the top, and of course it'll be on the end screen as well. And if you're on Facebook, there'll be a link, I think, like 2 posts ago. So make sure to check that out as well. It's gone down a treat so far. So thank you guys for that one. And yes, I will see you on Monday for the recap.